the border issue is obviously one everybody is watching very closely because the change in administration that's going to happen in just days is going to dramatically change the policies of border enforcement. One of the pieces of legislation making its way through the system is the Laken Riley Act. And at least one of the criticisms of this is, and I'm just going to read very quickly, deporting criminals, including shoplifters, is a no-brainer, but the Laken Riley Act isn't that simple. This is from Elvia Diaz at the Arizona Republic. They are saying that the Laken Riley Act actually circumvents due process. Well, I'm going straight to the source. We're talking now with Congressman Juan Ciscomani from Southern Arizona. Congressman, Happy New Year, and thanks for doing this.
Mike, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me on again. Always good talking to you, brother.
Let's talk about this Laken Riley Act to start with. The criticism is there. Now, interesting that you are seeing both of our senators are Democrats. I believe Greg Stanton as well, the congressman, have all supported the Laken Riley Act. Senator Gallego even co-sponsored it in the Senate. Yeah. Is there any validity to the criticism that this avoids and circumvents due process?
Well, you mentioned a lot of bipartisan support on this. We have Democrats not only voting for it, but also co-sponsoring it. The people here, I got to tell you first, let me start by saying there's a new energy in Washington right now. There is. When you know that competent leadership is about to change over in the White House coming in, there's a new sheriff in town kind of feeling. So when you look at issues like this one, you've got people that usually may not agree on stuff, and you got Democrats jumping on and saying, hey, we hurt the country, what the priorities are, and the Republicans have been saying this for the last 2 to 4 years on this, and now Democrats are coming along for these efforts. And this is an example of it. You still have people that will find any excuse to not want to apply the law or try to give out or just oppose whatever President Trump is proposing or other Republicans. So I think it more stems from that. But when you look at what the nature of the bill is here, it addresses this man who, a 26-year-old Venezuelan, known gang member from Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs in the world, that is stopped at the border. He's not detained, but then released into the country, and then he commits a crime, theft, sure, or something like that, and then he gets apprehended and released again, and then he goes and commits this horrific crime against Laken Riley. That all this could have been avoided. Yeah, we're going to look at the source of this and how it happened, and we need to address it in policy. And this is what this does. If people are here in this country seeking asylum and committing crimes of any level, you're a guest here. You're trying to make a case for yourself that you would be a good addition to the United States. And the case this man and others have made is to commit crimes of whatever nature. Then in my mind, those people don't have a right to be in the nation, and they should be, especially if they already have the deportation order, and then they're committing crimes. Mike, it's a no-brainer. This law makes sense.
And also, is there an element of this about flight risk? And what I mean by that, if somebody commits a crime in this country, part of the reason some people can be held over for trial, and the reason why they do that is because they're a flight risk, or sometimes there's a bond, or you're released on your own recognizance. Is there an element of that in this as well, that they're a flight risk?
Well, listen, the main purpose here is to address the issue and the nature of why this happened, and to prevent that from happening again. And what you mentioned earlier, that the other side, what they're trying to argue is pick and point in these dramatic stories of if you steal something, you get deported. But listen, we've talked about this many times. When I became a permanent resident, a green card holder, during those years that you are in probation of being a green card holder to being a citizen, if you step out of line and you break the law in those 5 years after going through the whole process, that green card can be revoked, Mike, before you become a U.S. citizen. If you demonstrate at that time that, hey, listen, you went through the whole process, the green card was issued, but you've demonstrated that you're going to be a menace to society, and at that point, that can still be revoked. So there is a price to pay in the sense of saying, I'm going to be a good overall resident and citizen of this nation so that I can be accepted. And when you're committing crimes out there, you're not making that point very positive for yourself.
I want to talk about the speaker in just a moment, but I want to wrap up this on the immigration, because I think it's so important, and this is just the beginning. What legislation can we expect, or do you expect, is going to make its way through the Congress? Are we going to address the issue of dreamers? Are we going to have some other border legislation that that the president can sign? That it isn't just an executive order; that there's legislative action with this bipartisan support for a lot of this. Do you believe this is just the momentum that's just starting on the border issue?
Great question, and you set it up beautifully. Yes, I feel like this is the start of a good momentum period. There's a lot of border and immigration that we're going to see. You and I have talked about the three buckets of immigration, of border security, and trade and commerce regarding ports of entry and improvements there. All these are going to be addressed in different ways. One of my bills that made it by the House last Congress, but of course died in the Senate, has been named as a priority for both the president and the speaker, which is the Raul Gonzalez Safety Officer Act. This deals with the high-speed chases that we're seeing in Cochise County and other parts of the country that are being impacted. These drivers need to be penalized at a high level, and this bill does that. So we can expect this bill, to move forward pretty quickly. Ted Cruz was the carrier of this bill in the Senate last cycle, so we're going to be doing that. And then there's another one that the name's a little long, so it's a Transnational Criminal Organization Illicit Spotter Prevention Elimination Act. This was just introduced. Joni Ernst introduced it in the Senate, and I introduced it in the House. This deals with the spotters, the guys that are out there highlighting where Border Patrol will be and endangering our Border Patrol agents and working for the cartels. We need to increase the penalties on these people as well. So these are just some of the bills that you're going to see come through in terms of the border security aspect of it. I've been a defender and someone that is a voice for doing something for our dreamers as well. There's broad appetite for that within the Republican Party as well. And when I'm in these rooms in my district, there's a clear difference of where people see the Laken Riley type of criminals and very different view on how they see these dreamers that came here at 1 or 2 years old that have gone through school and they want a shot at the American dream and they've stayed out of trouble. No, we have to find a solution for that. And President Trump has been clear several times that he wants to do that. So I really look forward to working with him on that.
You were kind enough to help me get the Speaker of the House on my show, and so it was great to talk with him. He's been elected back to the office. It took 2 votes, but there seems to be more support this time. What are the chances that there is a rallying of the Republican caucus behind him, that they're going to be galvanized behind this to keep the caucus together? Do you believe there's that attitude, or is there going to be trouble keeping the caucus together with the Speaker?
Well, first, let me say that it was actually 1 vote. It seemed like 2, maybe at the people at home, because there were, they went through the vote. Several people didn't vote or voted for somebody else, but they have the ability to keep the vote open. In that same round, people changed their mind.
Oh, okay.
And they ended up voting for the speaker. So it seemed like 2 rounds, but it was like two takes at 1 round.
Okay, I get it. I get it. I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah. So basically, technically, it was 1 round. So we were able to get that through. For the speaker to have the president's support and the partnership and the relationship that they formed, including with Senator Thune over in the Senate, this is key for us to be able to advance quickly the policies that we want. I as opposed to 2 years ago, I don't sense that drive to just from some people to be only disruptors. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people that are going to interrupt the process and maybe make it more dramatic than they need to. And there will be difference of opinions, but I don't sense that drive of saying we're going to burn the place down as I did 2 years ago. There's a cry from the American people that they want us to work together and solve problems. We've all heard that. And we need to go to work on it. Yeah,
and I think also what he has also that he didn't have before is the support of the president. The president-elect Trump had strong support for Speaker Johnson to be elected to the office, and I think that had to help him. And I think that support, that endorsement, is going to carry him a long way. Don't you?
Yeah, no question. And like we said, I mean, I've only been here this is my 2nd term, my first week of my 2nd term. But I'll tell you this: the difference of having a White House, President Trump incoming in the White House, changes the tone and the mood completely here in Washington. So what happened last 2 years ago, that we didn't have the Senate and the House and the White House, so there was no leadership in that sense there. And President Trump did support McCarthy at the time, but he was, again, not in the White House yet or weeks away from that. Now that the president's coming in and of course the country has once again supported him in the right way, I know that you and I both did as well, then it's clear what agenda the country wants, and that is the agenda that President Trump ran on, and we all ran on as well. So there's unity there, and with President Trump in the White House, that definitely helps the House and Speaker Johnson carry through his job. And it's not easy. I don't want to paint an easy picture. When you have a majority of 2, I think right now is like 4, but we're losing some members that are going to go to the Trump administration. That margin is going to get slim, slim, slim. Back in 2017, when President Trump came in the first term, the House had a 22-seat majority, Mike, 22 seats. And they thought it was slim then. They thought it was a slim majority with 22 back then. Now that seems like a mega landslide when you're looking at 2-4 now. So it's gonna be tight, a lot of work, a tight rope to walk on, but we're gonna get it done. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can hear the excitement in your voice. I always appreciate the conversations, and you always have the open invitation when you're back home in Arizona to come in studio, but I'll talk to you anytime. Would love to get updates as the process continues.
You got it, brother. On real time, let's make this happen. We're going to be doing quite a lot of work to do here because now all that we do, a big difference for your listeners is that whatever we pass out of the House, it has a clear path to make it all the way to the president's desk and becoming law. Before, it got stuck in the Senate. Now we've got a real shot in the path to do it. Of course, you need 60 in the Senate, which means you need some Democrats. However, there's a clear path for everything that we pass out of the House, and that changes the energy completely in the work that we put in.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to that cooperation. So thanks again, Congressman. We'll talk soon.
You got it, Mike. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.